Hi, everyone. This is Sudeshna from the Abundant Psyche, and you are listening to the Not So Corporate podcast. Here, we talk about all of the not so corporate things we corporate entrepreneurs end up doing within and outside of corporate life. And today, I have with me my very dear friend Dan. We used to work together in PwC strategy, and we were a part of the strategy team, which was also very focused on financial modeling. And quite a lot of people used to say, okay, I want to do this, I want to build the next startup, and so on. And Dan actually left strategy and thinking about his next business idea. And he's one of those few people who have actually built it out. And yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you today, Dan. How are
Thank
you
you,
doing?
thank you. I'm not doing too badly, thank you. I'm certainly starting to build it out. I don't know if I'm completely there yet, but yeah. So yeah, we used to work together in strategy, and I think that was back in 2017, and a lot has changed since then. But yes, doing very well. Busy these days. So
Yeah. So just for all our listeners, we just ended up recording a whole half an hour, and then I realized that I did not hit the record button. Things that happen when you are not paying attention. Oh my God. Sorry about that.
well, it's
But
one of the challenges of online learning, and I guess working over the internet and Zoom calls is that it's very easy, I guess, to kind of screw up slightly on the technology and not realize.
yeah, so talking about that, tell us what you do now.
So what I do now is I create online courses. So it's kind of Excel courses focused at accountants, consultants, and analysts. So I'm building out courses which help people kind of learn the right parts of Excel to use and actually how to apply them, kind of in, I guess, commercial contexts. And my latest course, which I launch in a couple of weeks at the start of January 2021, will be a modeling course. So it's aimed again at the same audience, but it's how to create sort of best practice models. And then also from January onwards, I'm gonna kind of, people can sort of learn online, sort of self-study. But then also I'm gonna do kind of training over online as well, like live training. So I will have the same sort of technological issues as you, I'm sure.
Oh my God. Anyway, but tell me, Dan, while you were leaving PwC, you had a business idea. Is this the same
Yes.
idea?
No, completely different. So I'm trying to think back to when I left PwC. I kind of had in mind that I wanted to do a business, wanted to start a business, and I had a friend who was in the same boat. He was a lawyer, and we didn't actually end up working together. Maybe we will one day. But I think my business idea at the time was it wasn't a completely original idea, in that there was this to some extent, was to kind of create one of these websites where freelancers could load their profile up and you could almost set up work for them. More and more people are going towards independent working, like this gig economy and everything. And so I think you have more self-employed people out there. And one of the challenges which I had faced before I joined PwC actually was, if I wanted to go out tomorrow as a financial modeler, how would I get business? And kind of the only real option you had was recruitment consultants. And so really it was kind of, could you build a website for actually decent kind of freelancers or independent contractors or consultants, where you could really line up work for them. But I never pursued that idea, and now I do something completely different. So I
So
think
why,
it's,
yeah,
you
why
know,
did you not pursue that idea?
um, I can't actually, it's such a long time ago that I can't really remember. I think it probably wasn't working with the guy that I was potentially going to sort of do the venture with. He had a young family, and he just didn't have the time at the time. And then also it's very easy to, when I left PwC, I started kind of consulting with the company. And it's very easy to fall into that because it's quite sort of lucrative in London to do that type of work. And so I probably drifted towards that, with the idea as at the same time going to start setting something up, but it never kind of really quite happened. So I consulted for a while, and then I again went and started to do my own offering, which was more as an independent consultant, almost creating a business, which would be sort of financial modeling for clients. But now I've moved actually completely just towards training. So it changes.
Right. So were you building the business and also working as an independent consultant simultaneously, or did it look like first you got some money in the bank, put that back into the business, and
It was
how did it look? Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I first left PwC and I was consulting for a while, at the same time I was starting to build stuff like a website and that kind of thing. But I was very much like, I need to leave this, take the plunge, and then focus all my efforts on trying to create my offering and get clients in. And I did do that for a while, but I was finding as a sort of an independent financial modeler with your own website where you're then sort of advertising your services, most of the interest was coming kind of from small companies. And that's one of the things which I found those guys they didn't have sort of much of a budget. They didn't necessarily know what they want. And if you created a financial model for them, then they didn't really have anyone who could run it, if you see what I mean. Because you need some like Excel skills to actually use these. So I found that idea didn't really work. But so at first I was just doing this consulting, and then actually when I transitioned to doing that full time, I was very much dedicated to that. But then found actually this idea didn't really work, so I had to then move into something else, which is more the training side. So.
Right. So how did you come up with the Excel course idea? Because that sounds very obvious to the next strategy consultant, all of who are Excel and PowerPoint gurus, so to speak. But rarely do I hear about someone who's built a business around the skill that they have developed in their consulting life. How did you come up with that?
To actually do online training. So I developed some training courses which I was starting to sell face to face, where I go in and sort of help train kind of accounting teams. I actually had a meeting with a partner from I can't remember which firm it was. It was a kind of a small accounting firm. And it was about me potentially picking up some of their excess work, sort of financial modeling work. And I remember at the end of the meeting, he said to me, have you rather than sort of build these models, which it can be kind of like a sort of an endless process where you create a model for someone and then they come back and they want sort of edits, all this kind of stuff. Is like, why wouldn't you focus on something like online training, which, I hear people are making a killing out of, because, online training is really sort of going up. And I thought about it. I think I'd had that in the back of my mind actually for quite a long time, but I think just having sort of someone senior in that kind of role actually say, I think that's a really good idea, kind of almost reaffirmed that it was a good idea. And from then on, I was like, I really need to focus on training, and in particular kind of online training. So one of the risks actually with building these financial models, because they can be very sort of technical kind of work to do, there is the risk that you get something wrong, or that the client comes back and their requirement changes and they don't want to pay any extra money for it. Whereas actually, if you create training, it's kind of what you're offering is almost like the same thing each time.
Mm,
There's less risk involved. You really sort of perfect delivering that training, creating and delivering that training. So there's less risk, and it's kind of almost like a more uniform service that you're delivering. So that's probably a better idea. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and also for yourself, I guess we have had this conversation before that for yourself, it's almost like creating an asset that hopefully will keep on generating revenue, because unless Excel fundamentally changes the formulas inside of Excel, I
Yeah.
think your course will teach the same thing as it is today, 10 years down the line as well.
Yeah, yes, yeah. It's one of those things where kind of you create it once. It might be that in a few years' time you want to update it because, like, for instance, the look of Excel changes. But that is something which you can solve quite well. I think some people kind of think, people always ask, when's Excel sort of going to die out? Which I don't think it will for a long time. People are using other packages. So, for instance, data analysis. Excel is never a great thing for that anyway. And there's the increase in data science. And so I think people look to those sort of programs. It's like, well, that's not actually what Excel was doing in the first place. In terms of what I do, which is financial modeling, I think that'll be in Excel for quite a long time because there's not really any good alternatives out there. And just the fact that Excel is actually kind of every company uses it, it's very hard to switch away from something like that. So yeah, I was quite confident actually if I create these, there'll be demand for it for quite some time. And yeah, hopefully once you've created it and done the hard work, then you can focus on actually how do I then market this and sort of make some money out of it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And I agree that there is no tool quite like Excel, and also good Excel modelers are really difficult to find in both industry and in consulting. Like I have worked outside of that strategy and team, I have worked a lot with Excel, um, with consultants as well, but rarely have I found the best practice or even good practice and methodically approaching the problem and a well thought out model like
Yeah,
that just is so, I don't know, it's very rare to find someone who's actually thought about a model step by step.
yeah, and I know before I worked in PwC, I worked in industry for kind of most of my career, and I worked around quite a few different companies, either as a permanent or I then also contracted as well. And so you get an idea of kind of, for instance, the Excel skills out there, and Excel skills in general aren't actually that high. But then in terms of financial modeling or best practice financial modeling, it's almost non-existent in industry. You have people building models, but there's it's a very very technical process, and there's kind of over 100 rules of how you should build a model. But unless you've actually got someone there telling you how to do it, then people kind of think, I'm just going to create a spreadsheet and whack together all these numbers, make some calculations, and I'll get some information out of it. And they don't kind of follow some of the fundamentals. And I know that, yeah, having worked around all these companies, you get these models which really aren't great, or they're very slow. They didn't give the right information. They take a long time to update. All that can be solved by actually doing a decent modeling course. So I guess that's one of the reasons that I do what I do now, and I think there would be demand for that, just to kind of increase people's kind of skills. And when you think actually these models inform some of the most critical decisions in a company, then it's amazing actually that the skills kind of aren't more sort of prevalent.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely, I think there would be demand for that. If there isn't, there should be demand for that,
Should
because
be.
badly built Excel models can actually cost millions. Like, I'm not even joking. You know that. Like, if
Yeah,
one error in your Excel model you don't spot, some company or some bank holds risk capital based on that, something falls apart and that's it. You lose money.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. It's really really high risk. Um, but that you'll never completely get rid of that risk,
Mm.
because you can always have errors in these models. But if you actually build them in a better way and test them and things like this, you really mitigate that risk. And it's something which I think a lot of companies don't sort of appreciate.
Mm.
So yes, that's a problem which I'm trying to help solve, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, completely with you on that. So Dan, talking about the not so Excel things, I guess, do you do Excel every day now that you are training people on Excel, or do you miss doing the financial modeling?
Um, I I don't completely miss doing the financial modeling. I think if I said I missed Excel, then I'll probably be crazy. Um, but I did enjoy some of the financial modeling, kind of when you do it in industry and you work with the CFO and or kind of a finance director, and you're building these models, which is quite creative in itself. But you're helping solve their problems, and it requires a lot of commercial thinking to actually kind of build, also to maintain, so to actually kind of run this model and answer their questions on a day-to-day basis. I kind of miss that and the interaction you get. But now, at the moment, I don't spend tons of time in Excel. So because I'm creating these online courses, I'll create demos and exercises and this type of thing. But then you've got to record them. You've got to do the video editing, the sound editing, lots in InDesign, so creating slides. I do all my own marketing, so lots of Photoshop, all this kind of stuff. So most of the time now, I'm not in Excel. I'm using kind of other applications. So I've got really good at Adobe applications. So
Mm.
if this doesn't work out, it could probably sort of be some kind of video editor. I don't know.
Right. Okay. So when you were starting out on your entrepreneurship journey, did you expect that? Did you expect that you would be doing a lot of this marketing and whatnot?
I guess I expected to be doing sort of the marketing side. I didn't guess like yeah when I left PwC, I didn't guess that I'd be trying to almost make it in sort of online training, or that would be my main focus. I guess one of the reasons I wanted to try and start my own venture was because I wanted the challenge of um, all the elements that you need to create a successful business. So whether it's actually creating your product, or whether it's actually marketing and selling, all this kind of thing. I wanted that experience. So I always thought I'd be doing some marketing and sales. But yeah, I didn't realize it would be sort of selling, kind of creating and selling online courses. But I'm happy doing it. I really actually, I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy the creativity of it, and the fact that you're actually trying to kind of help people and
Mm,
sort of enhance their skill set, which adds value to them, and kind of empowers them as well. So yeah, so that's good.
right. And we were talking about this a bit back. What do you not miss from corporate?
So I didn't come across it a huge amount because I worked in sort of media a lot. But one of the things when I did come across it, I didn't like kind of the politics of, I guess, corporate life. That's something which I don't miss. And I also I don't like kind of doing the same thing every day.
Mm,
So not that I used to work 9 to 5, it's probably more like sort of 9 to 5:30, I don't know. But having that routine, kind of, I think I eventually find a bit boring.
mm.
Um, so that's something I don't miss. I like kind of, I guess, sort of, it sounds cheesy, but making your own destiny and sort of finding your own way, and having all those challenges which trying to start up your own business brings to you. I enjoyed that. And so, yeah, I don't miss the potentially mundane parts of kind of the work that I used to do.
Right. Yes, I agree. Creating your own destiny, that's so, so valuable. Um, and what do you miss, Dan, from corporate life?
Um, I miss people, having people around you, which I think everyone's, before 2020 and before coronavirus or COVID and like everyone working from home. I was already working from home a lot, um, and I think probably everyone's found this year that you kind of miss having those colleagues around you. Maybe not everyone does. Maybe some people really don't like their colleagues, but it's nice to have that kind of that the friendships that you sort of have in an office, and having just people to speak to all the time. I'm always working. I live by myself, and so I'm kind of always working in my front room, and I don't get too lonely. But it would be nice to kind of just occasionally sort of chat to the people around you. So that's probably the thing I miss.
Yeah, you can always Skype us in,
Yeah, thank you. I might
Skype
do.
CDA.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no,
I'll call you
absolutely.
tomorrow.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Um, but this has been so amazing, Dan. For anyone who is in the same spot as you were 2017 PwC, what would you tell Dan from 2017?
I think one of the things which I've really found would have benefited is, which I'm finding now is, you can go out there if you want to, start your own business or create some kind of service that you want other people to buy, or a product or whatever, is that you kind of need an audience. So I can create my training courses now. If no one knows who I am, they're not going to buy from me.
Mm,
So I'd say almost like before you leave, see if you can start building an audience, even if it's like, I don't know, an Instagram audience or a Facebook audience, that kind of thing. People that you already communicate with, and they have a certain level of trust in you, and they're interested in what you might do next. I'd say kind of try and build that, and then go out there, create your product or service or whatever it is, and then sell to those people. And that, I think, that's probably one of the best pieces of advice I would have given to Dan in 2017.
yeah, love that advice because I mean, it's not only about marketing and sales. I suppose it goes back to show how important it is to build genuine relationships inside and outside work, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we do business with, we end up chatting with people we know and like.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you can't put value on a network really. because you could get business from them or you could get business from their network. So yeah, developing those relationships is really important, and it can be harder to do that when you think kind of if you're always working from home or you're trying to create an online business. It's like, well, how do I create sort of these personal relationships with people, which is always going to be sort of through a computer. So that's kind of one of the challenges. That's one of the things which I find is tricky, because to develop all that kind of that audience
Mm.
when you're at the same time trying to create a product and everything else that you need to be doing, it's like, well, how do I do all that at once? There's not enough time in the day. But yeah, if you can develop those relationships before you kind of leave, then I think that's really, really beneficial.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming over and chatting, Dan.
Okay.
And for anyone who's interested in your courses, where can they find you?
So I have a website called claritix.co.uk. So it's Claritix. And yeah, that's my website. It advertises all my courses, and then actually I have a kind of a course infrastructure built into that, so you can actually purchase the course there, and you do it. It's hosted by a company called Kajabi, who are great for kind of online sort of entrepreneurs or online learning. So yeah, that's where you can find them.
That's amazing. So I'll leave the links down below. And if you want to connect with Dan, I'm sure you can connect on LinkedIn or just
Yeah.
drop him an email. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it out with your friends. This is definitely not the usual startup idea that you get. This is a slightly different way of leveraging your own knowledge from the past and building a startup or a business around it. So if you have enjoyed this, please subscribe, share it out, like, comment, whatever you have to do to get other people talking about this, please do that. And it's been such a pleasure to chat again, Dan. Sorry for the technology hiccups,
No,
but
no, no, that's fine. That's
amazing
cool.
to
It
chat with
happens.
you as usual. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
And yeah, if you are still listening, thanks for listening. And I'll see you the next time, or I'll hear you the next time.
See you later.
See you.